Alright guys, welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be going over detailing cars, specifically having a setup, maybe you're just getting going, so you want to detail cars and you don't know where you should start. You don't have a ton of money to spend. Maybe you want to be completely mobile. Like me, I have my setup so that I can actually go to my customers' houses if they choose, because that's great for my business. It's convenient for them. I can charge for it, obviously. But this is my entire detail setup behind us. We're going to go over all of this stuff. I'll give you a quick rundown and then we'll talk about exactly how you can get into detailing. All right, so you can see we got the whiteboard set up, so we're gonna go over pricing on all this stuff. But I got everything laid out on the table here. You can see we got rags, we got consumables over here. We'll talk about some chemicals that I make myself because a lot of this other stuff can be really harsh. Couple really cool tools, an extractor, a mobile pressure washer. Down below we got our shop vac, our cords, some fans. We're gonna talk about all this stuff, so let's get into the video.
Addicted to you, all of my attention I've been giving to you.
So first and foremost, we're gonna go over a cost breakdown on all of this stuff. Again, this is just my personal preference on tools and equipment, and I like this because I can be completely mobile. You can see we got a Master Force mobile pressure washer there. We're gonna be going over all this stuff, so let's get into the video. All right guys, so as I said, we're gonna go over all my detail tools, equipment, and consumables, meaning chemicals, water, stuff like that. So again, these are all my picks for brands and how I wanted to go about setting up this part of my business. I went ahead and set up the detail side of my business so that I could be completely mobile. That being said, I can load all this up into the work truck relatively easily and do details at customers' home. I thought that was a great way to go about it because it's attractive to the customer. I can market that and charge a service call fee, so it's just a good all-around idea. Let alone when I left the Toyota dealership, I did not have this shop. I was in my garage with the MaxJax lift at home, so I had very minimal space. So all of this stuff was, one, pretty affordable, two, it didn't take up that much space in my garage, and three, when I went out on my own, left the Toyota dealership, I did that as a technician. And first and foremost, I'm a mechanic, right? So the reason really that I got into detailing cars, there's a few different reasons. One, I genuinely enjoy doing it. I remember being in high school when I had my first enthusiast car, if you could call it that. I had a 98 Mustang GT, and there's nothing I love more than washing it, cleaning the inside, making it sparkle, and it gave me a sense of pride, right? I loved that car. I loved keeping it clean. And detailing has to do with cars. It's just another facet. That's gonna lead me to the second reason I got into detailing. It was, one, a way to fill my schedule, but when you're doing mechanical repairs day in and day out, when you get into the meat and potatoes of being a mechanic, you're replacing motors, you're dropping transmissions, engine cradles are coming out, all of that stuff is super labor intensive, it's really dirty, and you have to think a lot, right? You have 10,000 bolts laid out on your workbenches on the ground. This was just a good way for me to get a break and kind of balance my business. So on top of having work that has a pretty quick turnaround, right? You get a car in the morning, you detail it, by evening they can come pick it up, you get paid, versus tracking down parts to replace a motor, a transmission, something that takes quite a few days. This was something where I could just kind of kick back and relax, put some music on, and it's stress-free to me. It's something that I enjoy doing, and it doesn't bring me any stress. I don't care how dirty the car is. And I've seen some pretty nasty cars. So that being said, this wasn't something like I was gonna go open up a full-blown detail shop. I have a buddy, his name's Matt, he's down in Tucson, Boosted Automotive Detailing, and he does a phenomenal job. He's got way more equipment than I do, tens of thousands of dollars, but his clientele is different too. This guy's constantly sending me Snapchats detailing Aston Martins, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Shelby Mustangs, all of that kind of stuff, and he's more into the paint correction side of it. Primarily, I'd say about 90% of my customers just want the interior of their cars detailed, and I also dabble in headlight restoration. So let's get into this stuff. All right, so the first thing on the list that I want to bring to you guys is your consumables. This is your distilled water, your chemicals, your rags, all of that kind of stuff that you're going to have to replace. Now, I make a lot of my own chemicals to do my details for two reasons. One, it's a lot less harsh for you to breathe in if I can make my own natural and organic cleaning solutions for doing the job. So the first thing I went out and did, I learned relatively quickly, you want good spray bottles. I'm actually gonna replace these ones pretty soon. Vinegar is hard on things, but these are the Zepp knockoffs from Harbor Freight. This has been a pretty quality spray bottle. And what I use these for, I got two of them. One of them is for my homemade citrus disinfectant, which smells really good, does a really good job cleaning. Let me grab it. So you can see here, I got citrus rinds and peels from your lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits, all of that stuff. When I use those fruits, I stick the peels into this jar and I fill it with white vinegar. So you let this ferment for about a month. After you do that, you can add and subtract vinegar and citrus peels to get a solution that smells best to you, because obviously you don't want the entire inside of your customer's car to smell like vinegar. But you let it ferment for about a month and that's going to give it a really nice scent. It's a pretty powerful cleaner. Then I take my bottle here, I dilute it about 60% water, 40% of this. Every once in a while you do have to take out the old peels and add fresh ones. You can add for quite a while. You can see how orange the vinegar gets there. So this is a great and affordable way to substitute a lot of the consumables and cleaners that you're going to use. One, it's a lot cheaper. You go buy a jug of vinegar for a couple dollars and you can do this multiple times, and you're using the fruit peels that you're already eating. I don't have a bottle of disinfectant to compare it to because that's how long it's been since I've bought these things. But you know, store-bought stuff like this, which we're going to talk about, you can replace this. And bottles like this that you buy at the store, you're going to spend anywhere from $6 to even $12 on a disinfectant, and you'll learn very quickly, if you're detailing cars, that you're going to go through this stuff very fast. The second bottle that I have like this is another homemade cleaner that I use to get out really tough stains and grime in floor mats, in carpets. I can use it on headliners. It's not going to hurt anything. And for that, what I do is I take Blue Dawn dish soap just like this. I mix a teaspoon of this with a bunch of baking soda, and then I mix that up really good and I dilute it with water. Again, that one I use, I put it in this bottle. So teaspoon of Dawn dish soap, about 2 teaspoons of baking soda. I'll fill this up with water and then use that on tough stains and grime. And as a cool bonus, let's say this one has the baking soda, Dawn dish soap, and water. You can take that one, spritz it on, and let's say this one has my citrus solution. I can take the baking soda and soap, spray that on, and then when I spray the citrus cleaner, the baking soda reacts with the vinegar. And most recently, I had 15-year-old coffee stains in a Toyota that I was doing a detail on. Customers said they've been there for 15 years, and what I ended up doing was spraying this one and then spraying this one, and I literally watched just brown and black bubbles come up out of the carpet. So you can make a lot of this stuff yourself. It's going to be easier on your body, and it's also going to save you a lot of money. Now if we talk about store-bought consumables, store-bought chemicals, and while you can save a lot of money making your own stuff, you're not going to get away from some of this. There's some of this stuff that you're just going to have to go out and buy. This brand, Wizards, I really like this stuff. This is a bug release, so bug and tar remover. On the occasion that I have an exterior detail to do, I will wet the front of the car down and the license plate, headlights, where all those bugs like to sit. I'll wet them down with water. I'll spray the crap out of them with this, let it sit till it dries, wet it again with this, and then I can literally just take a microfiber and wipe the bugs right off. So this bug and tar release from Wizards is really good stuff. I think this is about $10 a bottle if you buy it from a local retailer. And that's going to bring me to another Wizards product, and that is going to be their Mist and Shine. So this stuff is really mellow. You're not going to have to worry about hurting anything using this. You can use it on the inside. Primarily, I use it on the outside. So let's say I'm cleaning the inside of someone's car. I don't even have to touch the exterior, but I have handprints all over it. I'll go over it with this, wipe it down with a microfiber. Additionally, you can wipe down a whole car with this and get a nice shine out of it. And the difference between this and something that's going to give you a better shine, like one of these Meguiar Turtle Wax makes some, Mothers make some. There's a bunch of hybrids now, so it'll be actually like a ceramic coat and a wax together. They have a whole bunch of different products. But when you use something like this, you're going to spray it and then you have to buff it off the surface of the car. Same with this one, requires a lot less elbow grease, and this, if you don't get it perfect, you're gonna get haze, you're gonna get those dreaded white spots. So this one, I will charge a little bit more to apply, but again, this is for customers who don't wanna pay a lot for a paint correction or a full clay bar cut and buff. These products are really good as well, and it's just one of those things that you're not gonna get away from using all homemade cleaners. Sometimes you do have to go buy stuff from the store. Making up the end of my consumables list here is going to be two things that I do no matter what. Even if I don't clean the exterior of the car, it's just a nice visual for people to see when they come pick their car up. I'll use a no scrub wheel cleaner. This just happens to be Black Magic, and then I'll rinse it off. And then Armor All Extreme tire shines. Again, these things are just a visual. It's just something nice for the customer to see when they pick up their vehicle. If I'm doing a dedicated exterior clean on the car, I'll use products that are a little bit nicer than this. I'll put a little bit more effort into it, but just as a nice added touch, I always clean the wheels and put some tire shine on the tires. The last thing on the consumables list is going to be microfibers and rags and sponges, because this is going to be something that, you know, is only going to last so long. Rags I will rewash and re-dry and clean, because obviously microfibers can be reused. The sponges you're only going to get so much life out of. I like the ones with the Scotch-Brite back on them. So referencing the whiteboard that I got down there, I put $55 down for consumables, and that's going to be your purified water, all of that kind of stuff, just because I don't know exactly how much you're going to spend. Things vary, but I'd say $55 is pretty safe as a way to get started. Next, I just wanted to go over all the little stuff that you don't really think about that you would need, that you absolutely are going to have if you want to do this, especially if you want to do it mobily. So just a few little things you're going to need. You need scrub brushes. I would use these on wheels, stuff like that. These are not paint safe by any means. These ones actually I found, and they were ice scrapers that were broken. So cut the ends off. Got some scrubbing brushes. So you're gonna need stuff like that, brushes, little ones. I got this one for floor mats, get a good grip on it, and I can scrub out stains and salt spots on floor mats. Next couple things on my list is going to be a power strip. Don't get one like this. This is just a cheap one that I have around because my good one's currently plugged into the wall and charging my tools. So good power strip is going to be a must, especially if you're working mobily. If you buy a cheap one like this, you're going to be resetting it all the time. So don't buy a cheap one, buy a good one. You're going to need a couple extension cords to run your shop vac, all of that good stuff. Charge up batteries if you have any battery tools. A couple 5-gallon buckets is going to be a necessity as well. I have one behind the whiteboard. I'd recommend having two, so you can have dirty water, clean water, fresh water, soapy water, that kind of thing. But you get two of those for about $10, so that's written down on the whiteboard. We are going to go over a total once we're done with everything for this whole setup. The last thing on my list is going to be a nice pad, because most of the time the car's parked on the ground. You're not going to be on a lift or anything like that. This one I got from Mac Tools, and it actually unfolds like this. You can see that. This thing is a lifesaver. It's gonna save on your knees, on your back, all of that stuff. So make sure you have some sort of pad. This one was $50. You don't have to get anything that expensive. You could go get a cheap one at Walmart for 15 bucks. I put it down as $50 because this is the one that I have. Next, we'll get into the more expensive tools. I got this guy, the Bissell Little Green. I actually found this. I was gonna buy one, they're $150, and I found this one on the curb, and there's a seal in here that was $2 on Amazon that I ended up replacing, and I got the extractor. So you use this for carpets. You're gonna fill up this side with your cleaning solution and clean water, and then you're gonna take this end. It works as, think of a wet vacuum if you've never seen one of these before. So you push this button right here, and it's gonna spray your cleaning solution out and suck it up. If you have really stubborn stains, you can spray the cleaning solution, go back with the brush, scrub it really good, and then suck it up. This thing is awesome for shampooing carpets, doing seats. I would not use it on a headliner because those are pretty delicate, but then the dirty water goes into this tank, which, as you can see, is pretty impossible to keep clean. And then once you're done, you just take this off right at the handle and you dump it out. Same to fill. You just take this off, unscrew the cap, fill it with more solution. This, I would say, is a must-have for detailing. There's all sorts of different price ranges, sizes. This one's been great to me, and like I said, I only have $2 into it. I wrote the price down as if I bought it retail, which would be $150. This one's nice and compact. Bissell makes good stuff. So the Bissell Little Green is something that I would say is an absolute must-have, or any extractor for that matter, if you want to get into detailing cars. Next thing, as far as main equipment when you're doing details, is going to be a good shop vac. This one just happens to actually be the brand Shop Vac. But I think I paid $45 for this. It's not the biggest one, it's not the most powerful, but again, Shop Vac's been in the game for a long time, so I knew I was getting at least decent product, and I wanted this to be able to be moved around all the time. Ridgid makes some nice shop vacs. Milwaukee just came out with a couple really badass shop vacs, but I wanted something that's gonna do the job and I'm not gonna have to lug this giant thing everywhere. So I got this shop vac right here, $45, and absolutely a must have. This guy right here is the non-fuel version, but it's the M18 Milwaukee vacuum. So you can see it just opens up like this, and then your battery and your hose and everything gets stored inside. Latches like that. and then you can take this bottom part off and dump your tank, obviously. Wet dry vac, super nice. It's not as powerful as the shop vac, but it's super convenient for quick jobs, and if you have somewhere that's kind of hard to reach, let's say the back of a pickup bed, something like that, this is a super nice vacuum for that. I actually won this one. If I would have went out and purchased it, it would have been around $130 is what they're going for now. So when I got it, it would have been more expensive, but $130 would get you one of these guys. I make sure I bring a couple batteries with me, but this is also super handy for mobile details. The next thing, in my opinion, that's going to be an absolute must-have is some sort of steamer. I got this guy at Harbor Freight for $118. It's essentially a McCulloch knockoff. It comes with a lot of different attachments. You can extend this wand, but this is going to take a lot of the elbow grease out of your job. Not to mention it sanitizes everything and it sells really well. When you tell people you can offer steam cleaning services, it just seems to have a little bit more appeal. And it's super nice, cracks and crevices and plastic door cards, dash vents, stuff like that. You don't have to worry about Q-tips anymore. This thing will get all of the dust and debris out of anything that you need to clean, as well as break down stains. The last car that this thing really shined on that I had, there was a melted Jolly Rancher. And when I say melted, I mean it was the shape of the cup holder in the bottom, and it had hardened again. And I just steamed the crap out of it for like 3 minutes, liquefied it, it came right out. So the steamer is also a must-have. I steam every single car that I detail, and really, really works well on a lot of stubborn stains. The last thing I have on my list for major equipment, you might say, is going to be this portable pressure washer from Masterforce. So Masterforce has made tools for quite a while from Menards now, and while it's not Milwaukee or anything like that, Masterforce makes some damn good tools. When I say it's not like Milwaukee, this is all hard plastic. There's no rubberized anything. The plastic feels cheaper than a Milwaukee would. This was bare tool only by the time I bought 2 batteries and a charger, because everything else I have that's battery powered is Milwaukee. I ended up spending $220 on this. It has 2 different settings. The low setting, I believe, is 270 PSI. The high setting on this guy is 400 PSI. So it's not exactly the same as a pressure washer, but again, being mobile, where this thing really shines is getting brake dust off wheels. You can pressure wash floor mats. I've actually washed an entire car with this thing, and here's where it really shines, is that you can either use the hose they include that has a filter on the end and plop it in a 5-gallon bucket or other water source, or you can hook it right up to your garden hose. I actually washed the whole work truck with this thing, and that's rinsing it. I rinsed the whole truck first, then I attached the foam cannon to the end. I foam cannoned the entire truck, scrubbed it, and then I rinsed it again. So 3 passes on the entire truck, including the wheels and the tires. I used 1 5-gallon bucket of water and 1 battery, and it still had a little bit of juice at the end. So this thing is super impressive, and the fact that I can take it and stick it into a 5-gallon bucket of water and just do whatever I have to do makes this a game changer for mobile details. Now, if Milwaukee made one, which I'm sure they're going to come out with it because that's kind of Milwaukee's game, if you can think of a tool, they have it. I probably would have spent double that amount of money, but you bet your ass I would have it. So I'll probably most likely be upgrading this in the future if Milwaukee ever does decide to come out with one. I'm sure it'll have a little more power, and I know the quality will be a little bit better than this, but nothing wrong with Masterforce tools, you guys. Masterforce makes a lot of really good tools and at a pretty decent price. I'm just so heavily invested in Milwaukee at this point that this is the only Masterforce tool that I have. I was honestly really surprised with the amount of water that this thing uses. I thought for sure like a 5-gallon bucket of water going through a little pressure washer like this, I thought it would go a lot faster than it does, but this thing is super handy and it's an absolute necessity now that I have it in my mobile detail arsenal. Alright, I spoke too soon. I do actually have 3 other Masterforce products on this list. So I got the Masterforce fans. This is the big one right here, and then I also have 2 of these little guys. It's the exact same fan, obviously just a lot smaller. I got 2 of these ones, 1 of the big ones. And when you're doing details, a lot of times you air stuff out. I have the doors open, the steamer creates a lot of moisture, the extractor creates a lot of moisture. I want to make sure the customer's getting a dry car back. So I'll get these fans going, they're super powerful. And just to reiterate what I said before about Masterforce making quality tools, so one of these fans I accidentally forgot outside all winter long. Outside in the snow, you know, we're in Minnesota, I see minus 40-degree temperatures sometimes, and I brought it in the spring, let it thaw out, sprayed it off with some compressed air, works just fine. So these are awesome. The big one was $40, the 2 little ones were $30 a piece, so $100. I got those 3 shop fans, absolute must-have. And on the topic of having the doors open when you're doing details, I did forget one thing on that previous list when we talked about the extension cords, knee pads, stuff you'd forget about, which is kind of ironic because I forgot about it. And that is going to be bring a crescent wrench with you, because when you have the doors open, you're doing your details, you don't know how many times the car will die because you have the doors open, you're trying to air it out, clean the sills, whatever you're doing. And so I found that it's very beneficial to keep one of these crescent wrenches in your tool bag, because then you can disconnect the battery and make sure that you're not going to have a dead car at the end. So I forgot about this. Last thing I wanted to mention in this whole arsenal and supply list that I use for mobile detailing is going to be the equipment that I use to do headlight restoration. So this is a really easy way to get some money in your pocket, and you can offer different levels of this. Basically, on a headlight restoration, you know, modern cars, the housings are all made out of plastic and they start to fade and cloud up, and it makes it really hard to see at night. And if you buy aftermarket headlights, for the most part, the stuff you're going to buy on Amazon, eBay, it's junk. You can't adjust the aim or the height of the bulbs at all. It's just, so if you can redo the OEM lenses and make them look good as new, you can make a lot of money. The first thing I use is some WD-40, and no, it's not like on the TikTok videos where you just wipe your headlight down and it looks good as new, because that doesn't last. I'm talking about like an actual headlight restoration. If you go out and you spray this on your headlights and you wipe it down, it'll look awesome for about 2 days, and then it clouds up just to where you were again. You actually have to get that cloudiness off of the lens. I will use the WD-40 to remove bugs, Plasti-Dip overspray, stuff like that, because it's not super harsh like an acetone would be. So this works really good for that. I'll do this first. After I do that, I'm going to do a couple stages of wet sanding. I like to go from a 600 grit to an 800 to a 1000 to a 1500. So I got some sanding pads. I always keep a lot of sandpaper on me. After I get to the 1500, then I'll do a 3000 grit sand. After I do that, this sounds really weird, but Crest toothpaste, the kind that's gritty, not the gel, I take this, I rub it all over the headlight, and then I'll rub it down with a sponge one last time, right? This kind of, think of it as like polishing the headlight. After I do that, this part you got to be really careful with. I'll take acetone on a rag. Again, you have to be very careful with it. If you can remove the headlight housings from the car, that's the best way to do this, because this will damage the paint. You don't want to use too much or leave it in one spot too long, because essentially what this does is it's going to like melt the top layer of plastic. So I'll give the headlights, after I'm done doing my sanding and polishing, just a really light rub down with this, and it's going to ensure also that when we go to clear the lights, that we have a very clean surface. So be very careful with this, but acetone is something I keep around. And then finally, when I'm done with that, I actually clear coat the headlights. So this is just Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. It's the 2X, not to be confused with 2K. I do offer that as well. I can do a 2K clear, like from Spray Max over the top. It's just gonna cost more. So this is where the price might vary for your customer. This is actually pretty good stuff. It lasts a really long time. It says non-yellowing and UV resistant, right? But again, this does not have a hardener in it like a 2K clear would, so it's not going to last quite as long. It's not going to get quite as shiny. But I use this, or the customer can opt to use a 2K clear, and then the headlights are done. Here's an example of a set that I just did. These lights, when I first started, this is for an F-150. It's the spare set for my pickup. It was about that white when I started. You couldn't see hardly any light through these at all. These came from a junkyard. These ones had the little nubs in the casting of the plastic, so I ground those down first, and then I went ahead and restored the lenses. You can see how nice and clear they look. Again, this was just with the Rust-Oleum. I didn't want to use 2K for my own personal vehicle, but if I use the 2K clear, it would be more durable. It would look just a little bit better, but as you can see, this looks pretty good, and it lasts a really long time. All right, so finally, if we look at the breakdown of the cost of everything that we just talked about, we got the shop vac, the Milwaukee vacuum, brushes, Master Force fans, the Mac tool pad, pressure washer, Bissell Little Green, steamer, consumables, which would be your cleaners, your rags, stuff like that, acetone, toothpaste, rags is in there. Then we got buckets, a battery charger. I forgot to mention that, but you want to keep one of those just in case, you know, a customer car that you have dies. Mine's right over there. And then we got extension cords and a power strip. So all the stuff that we just talked about, I have about $1,073 into. So guys, that is my little detail setup. Again, I set this up so that I would have quality tools and be able to do a really professional job, but also have this so that I could go directly to the customer and do it that way. So my setup is made to be completely mobile. I'm sure I'll be upgrading stuff as I go, but this is what I started with about a year ago when I went off on my own and left the dealership. So I really enjoy showing you guys this kind of thing, and honestly, I'm just kind of a tool nut, so it's really fun for me just to add things to the arsenal, but I wanted to show you what I use for that aspect of my business, and and how I get the job done. It's going to differ for everybody, but I can guarantee you all the stuff on this list is of pretty good quality, and if you decide to go out and get one of these things, I can assure you you're going to be pretty happy with it because I've used all this stuff a lot. Every single item on this list has paid for itself, so I wouldn't be afraid to recommend it to you guys. Thanks for watching the video, guys. It means a lot to me. At the time of this recording, we're at 1,993 subscribers, so 7 more, and who knows, maybe by the time I edit this video, we'll already cross the 2,000 mark, but I got the Milwaukee tool to give away. So drop a comment down below, like and subscribe if you have not already, and as always, you guys, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.